Today we're talking about the smart, ambitious woman's most wanted books for success. What books you should be reading now and why they apply to you, you smart, ambitious woman. Coming up next on this episode of Think Enriched. You're a smart, ambitious woman. You serve those around you and take care of so many. But money has always been a little too tight. And you never seem to have enough time. I'm Amy Robles. I coach women just like you to start and run their own business, take care of the priorities, and get the zest back in their lives. Hold your head high, girl. You can earn your income, be there for your loved ones, and do something that makes you deliciously happy along the way. The gift you bring to the world is a happier, more fulfilled you. You're here because you believe like I do. You're here because you think enriched. Hey, welcome to Think Enriched. I'm your host, Amy Robles. I'm delighted to have you back on the show. Look, today we're talking about the smart, ambitious woman's most wanted books for success. You are a very busy woman. You've got so many different things going on. You're looking at different opportunities and want to maximize every minute of your life because it's so easy to become serious, busy, involved woman that never has a sense of humor, that doesn't have time to really enjoy life. And when we get to that point, we actually lose the essence, the spirit, the zest of who we are as individuals. And I believe that maximizing your time is the best way that we can get the best of all that we have to offer and be able to give that to the world. So I love to read and find those books. I really don't get into novels and a lot of fiction. For me, it's, okay, what can I read and how can I apply it? What can I read and how can I put it into my life? And my daughter, as I take her to and from school, I listen to audiobooks in the car. And so I am just flying through books. I read at a faster speed instead of just the regular 1.0. It started out and then I went to 1.25 and now I'm at a 1.5. But I think any faster, I'm really not able to concentrate on these. The books that I'm sharing with you today, not only have I read them in the car and just taken it in as I'm driving, but then I've also gone back and I've been able to get the paper book back or the hardbound book, it doesn't matter, a print copy of the book and go through, highlight, and process it. That's how important these books are, and I believe every smart, ambitious woman needs to read. So I'm going to share with you the book and why I believe it's so important for you to take in, and then you can decide in which order you can read them. This first book was a game changer for me completely. I met the author, Kary Oberbrunner, at Influence and Impact, a conference I went to in August. And I'd heard his podcast for a while, and I really like his style of teaching. He's very authentic, but I was so nervous. And I was just, I just turned into goofball fangirl, and I just, I couldn't create a sentence. I just was like, yep, okay, yep, let's do this. I was so, I've never been fan struck like that. And so I just want to tell you that I bought the book, talked to him a little bit, learned from him, and I really, sometimes you just meet someone and you're like, wow, who they are on the podcast is who they really are in real life. And you get that feeling, and like, I got goosebumps just talking about how genuine and real Kary Oberbrunner was. But that's not the best part, right? That's a big component of it. But I took the book, The Deeper Path, and read it on the flight. And I thought, well, I'll just get through a couple of pages and then I can dive into it later. And I couldn't put it down. I was so tired, and I remember thinking, I really should sleep for a few minutes so I'm fresh when I get back with my family. But I could not stop. I was just drinking it all in. And I didn't have a highlighter like I usually do. So instead of highlighting with the highlighter, I used just a regular pencil, and I was writing in all my notes over and over. And here's why you need to read this book. Look, like all of us, you have a tendency to hide your failures and your pain and the things that have really brought you difficulty and shame. And you can either work through that with toil and suffering, or you can work through that and to create your opus, which is your masterpiece. Your life is your opus. And this book takes a profound look at how to take the pain in your life, the scary room in your heart, and take all of that to create your opus, and how you can share and teach with other people what you have learned and how you have developed. This is the only book that is not available right now on an audiobook format, but it's definitely worth your time. Take time, get that book, and really dive in. I'm looking at options of ways where I can help other women really dive in and find their deeper path. That's coming down the road. I'm not ready to do that yet. This book touched me in such a profound way to the core of my soul that I have given multiple copies to friends already. And I found out about the book in August. This episode is going live in October. And in those nearly 90 days, there has not been one day where I have not referred back to it. I have not went back to go with notes. I have not thought about this book again and again and again. It's because it's my personal opus. I think so many times as smart, ambitious women, we are so busy taking care of so many others, we forget about taking care of ourselves. And we forget about where we fit in this picture of this running and all of this energy and can even be chaos of life. And so that's just another component of why this book is so important. The next book that I believe every smart, ambitious woman needs for success is one I've talked about before, Greg McKeown's Essentialism. If there is one thing every smart, ambitious woman understands, it is this: there is not enough time to get it all done. So where do you decide to cut something off? It seems like every time I sit down with another smart, ambitious woman, or I'm sitting with friends, or we're having a business conference, there's a real conversation that needs to happen, it always comes down to this. There are so many things, the tough things, the good things, the really good things, and the things that just have to be done. And this book, Essentialism, helps you navigate and figure that out. You should read this book because not only have you found yourself stretched too thin sometimes, that's just part of life, but every smart, ambitious woman has definitely felt completely overworked and unfulfilled. If you have ever felt at that point where you are so close to burnout, overworked and unfulfilled, this is a book that you must read. The substance of the book is made up of 3 questions. And these questions are: what is the core mindset of an essentialist? Basically, what is the mind space that I need to get into to accomplish those specific things? The next question is, how can I discern the trivial many from the vital few? Oh, wow. I wish we had a course on that in high school. How do we discern the trivial many from the vital few in our lives? And finally, how can I make doing the vital things almost effortless? If you can answer those 3 things, you are definitely on your way to even more success in your life. It's a book that I definitely think we'll be referring to time and time again. The next book, oh my gosh, this is the only one I don't have a physical copy of yet because I haven't been to the bookstore. I love to just go and just take it in and then have it in there. But about a week and a half ago, a friend of mine texted me and said, "Girl, you got to read this book. You have got to read this book." My friend Kary sent it. She's like, I can't even tell you. You need this book. And that is Braving the Wilderness by Brene Brown. Wow. This was such a powerful read for me. As I was listening and driving in the car by myself on the freeway, there were times where I was laughing out loud. I was in the moment with her. And there were times where I was just crying by the sheer rawness of Brené's honesty. This book, Braving the Wilderness, touches on some important issues we've just got to address. As society, we've forgotten how to communicate one with another, how to stand and just be with one another. When's the last time you went to a funeral? I've been to way too many funerals for my young life. And there's just this heaviness, this weirdness of people don't know what to say to you. And a lot of times I've found, especially online, going through so much loss and different deaths and seeing that I find myself saying, I don't have the words for you, darling. Please know my heart is with you. And that is the best thing I can send in social media. And if we can take that, my heart is with you, and share that as a society, think how much better this world would be. Her final chapter, it's titled Strong Back, Soft Front, Wild Heart. It had me in absolute tears of who we are as humans, as women, as people, being able to reach out and connect one with another. You should definitely read this book because you understand what it means to be everywhere and nowhere at the same time. You have so many that are already listening to you, they depend on you, that you must know how to speak truth and be civil. We've turned into the us versus them in every single issue, every single question of society, and we're never going to get anywhere if we can't sit down and have those difficult conversations in a civilized manner. And as smart, ambitious women, we need to know how to be able to be comfortable, to hold hands with strangers, reach out, and have the absolute confidence to take on the world and the compassion to care for one another. Definitely an excellent read for you. Our next book is one that, I love Jen Sincero. This book, You Are a Badass at Making Money. Now, I've got to tell you right now, she's a bit crass for some of my readers, some of the listeners here. But you got to understand it's part of her charm and it adds to her perspective. Don't come back to me and see Amy and saying, "Oh, Amy, I read your book on your suggestion and that girl is a little too foul." I'm telling you right now, that's part of who she is. And so if that's difficult for you to comprehend and that's difficult to take in, then this is not the book for you. But if you understand that and you're comfortable with that, then this is a book that takes a big concept of how to make money and your personal relationship with money and helps make it very, very simple and clear of how to increase and how to improve your mindset when it comes to wealth. At the end of every chapter, she shares her suggested money mantra. And then she says, say it, write it, feel it, own it. And every time I hear that, I'm like, yes, my money mantra, this is what I'm understanding. This is who I am. And just repeating those things, it just really comes alive for me. You should read this because you need to know what's holding you back from making money. She will help you know how to tap into your natural ability to grow wealth. And her stories are hilarious. She is highly entertaining. So You Are a Badass at Making Money by Jen Sincero is one that you should definitely add to your list. The next book on the list is QBQ, The Question Behind the Question by John G. Miller. You know, in a world eager to point who's to blame, personal accountability is so very rare. I mean, you just click on Twitter and you can just go down the newsfeed and be like, whoa, everyone is angry, always pointing the finger at someone else, and everyone is either denying or throwing additional blame to the other side, and it's just insanity. I am not on Twitter nearly as much as I used to be, simply because of that, pointing the blame and playing that game over and over. So John Miller shares his insight in QBQ, why each of us needs to accept personal responsibility with wisdom and integrity. He has this line in the book about when it comes to good service, good sales, personal accountability, the old stuff is the good stuff. And it's kind of like what we were taught as kids, and being able to hold your head high and being able to do things the right way and respect. He takes those principles and applies them to, and he's talking to a lot of business organizations, how this work in a manufacturing business, in a service business. But I believe that you should read this because it gives you the structure on how to ask the right questions. He gives you the format to question what am I really thinking, and how do I make sure that I'm working as a leader before I say anything to anybody else. It gives you an opportunity to look at yourself and see in the moment if you're behaving and asking questions as a leader or as the victim. And in those, that was really an excellent read. It's a really quick read. You can fly through that one. So that's one that, if you're limited on time, that's one you should be looking into. And finally, the next book that's on my mind big time lately is The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. Now, this book has been on my list for almost a year and a half. But a few weeks ago, I heard a podcast, Ray Edward, talking about it with his friend, Cliff Ravenscraft, and I just knew exactly the book that they were talking about. It's this great image of this little goldfish jumping from this small goldfish bowl, jumping from a small fish bowl into a large, big and beefy fish bowl, and you just see the fish midair. And so I kind of didn't understand. I knew what they were talking about when I very first, and then when they gave just a little bit of perspective, I thought, oh yeah, I got to read this. We all have a point where we believe that that's the highest we'll achieve. Well, what happens if you get above that? You know, right now I'm seeing this because my daughter's 6 years old. She's learning how to read. There's some sentences that come just super easy, and it's very comfortable to read. But when she gets to higher books, it's just, she kind of slows down and doesn't give as much energy. What happens if you're not prepared for even more growth? Well, that's something that we do in all of our life. Most of the times we do this, we don't even realize what is happening. The Big Leap helps you through this difficult stage of holding yourself back without even knowing it. You should read this book because, girl, you have a zone of genius. Man, I've seen friends say, you know what, I could pull together a couple of things, and they come to a few hours later with this beautiful, creative piece of art that blows me away. Maybe your zone of genius is getting all of the paperwork so organized and so itemized that you know exactly where that paragraph talking about one section is in an entire big manuscript folder. Each one of us has this zone of genius that is so incredible. This is a place where you can work for hours and create something extraordinary. I love watching other women when they come alive and they just get in their zone of genius and go to work. I get lit up helping women remember what that zone of genius is and where they're moving forward. And once they get back into that, you can see the energy come into them. You can see this zest, this enthusiasm for life just come alive and go to work. This book helps you realize where that zone of genius is and how you can find even more opportunity to get there. So this quick episode was just all about the different books, Smart, Ambitious Woman's Most Wanted Books for Success. Remember, we talked about The Deeper Path by Kary Oberbrunner, Essentialism by Greg McKeown, Braving the Wilderness by Brene Brown, You Are a Badass at Making Money by Jen Sincero, QBQ, The Question Behind the Question by John G. Miller, and The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. I highly recommend you take these books, and if you listen to them on audio and that's something that you really enjoy while you're at the treadmill, while you're doing your thing, perfect opportunity to really take in some great information. Or if you love to dig in and use that highlighter and get on the print books, go crazy. Whatever the version that works for you is the right version. In the show notes, I've included a link to every one of the books, so you can go straight to Amazon and either get the audiobook, or you can get a print book, or even the Kindle version. Find the version that works for you to implement more reading in your life and be able to help you to move to the next level of success in your life. Hey, I have loved sharing this book list with you. Reading is one of my favorite things to do, and I just live for these audiobooks to just take in and learn, and then take what I've learned and implement in my life. I really want that for you. You're a smart, ambitious woman. It's time to move to your next level of success. Hey, have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon.